Hello. Hey, Sam.
Hey,
It's,
Jourdan.
it's great to see your face and to be chatting with you today. It's exciting to be here and connected. So why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, and I will then introduce myself, and we can have a conversation.
Absolutely. My name is Samantha Schafer. I have been in the cannabis industry for about 10 years. I've been predominantly in cannabis retail management, but recently I have been supporting our manufacturing production facility in the last year or so. And so I'm learning a lot about how the manufacturing side of the industry works. I grew up in Northern California. I've been around cannabis most of my life because in Northern California, it's a crop that, people grew in mass, outdoor. So my experience with cannabis goes pretty far back, but my experience with the regulated marketplace has been about 10 years now. I got relocated to Las Vegas in March of 2019 to work for CLS Holdings. And I really love it. I really love Las Vegas. I really love the company I work for and the initiatives that we are putting forward.
Cool. Thank you. And I am Jourdan Binder. I am the corporate marketing director for CLS. My background is on the agency side. I have owned my own agency and have always been in marketing. Have done a lot in the spirits industry, which is really interesting and similar and different in many ways in the cannabis industry, but lots of overlap and things that we've learned along the way. So excited to be here, excited to be speaking to you, and really excited to be speaking about sustainability in cannabis. That's why we're here today. Before we jump into that, why don't you tell me a little bit more about CLS, the wonderful company we both work for?
Yeah, CLS Holdings is operating in the Nevada space right now. Like I said, we have a manufacturing facility where we produce high-end vape pens and tinctures for the Nevada marketplace. We also have a retail cannabis dispensary in the heart of Las Vegas, downtown, where we see about 1,000 people a day. We've had a lot of growth since the time that I've been here and since you've joined the company. We've actually tripled revenue for our retail dispensary and our manufacturing facility in the months of July, August, and September. So that's something we're really proud of. Something I think that's important and sets CLS apart is that we put people first. We have a people first approach. And what that means is we fundamentally believe that people power profits. And so when we're finding that when we put our community first, our team members first, our sellers and buyers first, and what their needs are, that it results in growth in revenue. So CLS is doing really great. We serve the Nevada marketplace, and we're really proud of it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a wonderful company to work with, and it's a really interesting market, the Nevada market. It's a great market as far as the stage of development where it is in the cannabis industry. We've seen it go from medical to rec and kind of all of those changes that it's brought forth, and it's really exciting times, and it's awesome to be part of the cannabis industry and to be doing the things we do, and this is fun and something we're passionate about. So as I said, we're here to talk about sustainability in the cannabis market. It's something that I know you and I are both really passionate about. It is such a relevant topic. It needs to be talked about more, and so we're here to do our part. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what that means to you, sustainability in cannabis, and some of the challenges that we're facing as an industry.
Oh boy. So in cannabis, in the cannabis space, there's a lot of challenges we face when it comes to sustainability, actually. Cannabis by nature requires a lot of water. It's a water intensive crop to grow. It's often grown in Western states. A lot of Western states don't have a lot of water to provide, so we're diverting water to these cannabis crops in states that are facing droughts, right? So, that's a challenge that we face in cannabis, just simply because the crop itself requires a lot of water. We also face the challenge of being required to grow almost 100% of cannabis indoors. If we were able to grow it outdoors, I think we could use some of the big agriculture practices put in place to be able to conserve a little bit of that water. And, over a long period of time, that would make a significant impact. But because for safety requirements and other requirements, they require cannabis to be grown indoor oftentimes. And so we can't be as efficient as we want to be with our water use. Another great example of regulations having an impact on how we operate and how we can move towards sustainability is we are a high energy use, industry as well. So what I mean by that is, because the cannabis has to be grown indoors, we are using a lot of man-made energy, when in reality we could be using the sun to grow our crops, sun-grown cannabis, and that would have a massive impact on our carbon footprint in our industry. But as well-intentioned as the government is, they oftentimes put regulations on us that kind of impact our decision making and prevent us from being as sustainable as we hope to be. So an example of something that some people are doing to have an impact is some growers, some grow manufacturers, some retail locations are putting solar power in their facilities to try to reduce their energy consumption. But again, there's a long way to go on that.
Yeah, it often feels like some of these challenges are extremely daunting and even beyond our day-to-day control. And we're in an industry where we have a plant that comes from the earth, and yet there's a lot that we're doing to impact the earth, and it feels like some of these challenges and some of the things that you pointed out are pretty immense and hard to overcome. So I'm just curious, what are some of the challenges that you see, on a day-to-day basis? You're uniquely set to kind of take a look at this and talk about it, on the ground at the retail level and at a manufacturing. Like, what are you seeing that is noticeable and that can actually, change and feel like we're making an impact?
There's a few examples I could give. Again, I think the regulatory environment adds a lot of challenges to us. Despite being well-intentioned, their regulatory requirements often increase substantially the amount of packaging and labeling, for example, that we're required to work with. A great example, on the production side, you have to produce a label and it has to have all your state requirements on it. It's only required to be in, I think, 8 font. And for some reason, the retailer has the same obligation. They have to produce a label with the same information on it, but it has to be in 12 font. And the redundancy in that regulation requires twice as many labels to be produced than is necessary for the customer, right? The customer is going to get the same information twice. Another great example is the production facility. It's optional for them to put their product in a child-resistant package. And because it's optional, the burden falls on the retail dispensary. And so the retail dispensary has to purchase exit bags. I've actually got an example of one here. And we actually have to put every product in an exit bag just to ensure that when it leaves the dispensary, it's still in a child-resistant package, right? And that creates redundancy in packaging. If the manufacturer was the one required to put the product in a child-resistant package, then the dispensary could put it in a brown paper bag that would, be biodegradable. But again, that's an example of the regulatory environment adding challenges and adding to our waste in the cannabis industry that we would really like to see modified so that we can make steps to being a little bit more sustainable or going in that direction.
Yeah, and it's interesting, as you said. We know that the regulatory bodies are coming from a place of doing good, but often, what we're finding is that some of these things, as you mentioned, are redundant, and if could be eliminated, we could, affect change. And beyond that, we're we're talking specifically about the Nevada market where our brands are located, but
Right.
you start to think about multi-state operators, and when there's different regulations for different markets, so there isn't economies of scales and things like packaging, because some markets need, have child-proof packaging and some don't. So it's a lot to get through and to try to be mindful of. So given all of that, what are some of the things that we're doing on our side?
There's a handful of things. I think that we've at CLS, we've actually tried to build sustainability into our ethos. Again, there's a lot of challenges that come with that. In fact, I know that you've been building the sustainability into the brand when you recently rebranded City Trees. So, maybe you should take an opportunity to speak on that.
Sure.
Because there's a lot there that we've been doing.
Yeah, so I think for us, what we've realized is, as we noted, that there's large scale changes that need to be made industry wide, but there's also things that we can do on our own and at our level to affect change. And so naturally with our brand City Trees, we felt there was an opportunity to do something and change a little bit about the way that we operate and how we develop and deliver our products. Our brand is called City Trees. We have the name trees in it. We're all about bridging the gap between the city and the trees. And one way to do that is to be environmentally conscious and sustainably minded. So, we looked at the business as a whole and found the areas that we could affect, most notably packaging. That is a huge opportunity in the industry. You talked about it some, but there's that's something that is so controllable and something that we can control ourselves. So we went to all recycled packaging, that it comes from recycled materials and is all recyclable itself. And then beyond that, we looked at opportunities to make it reusable. So we're working with an amazing company called Paper Tubes Company. We reintroduced a whole line of tubes for our products, and we find that consumers are reusing those tubes not only to store their cannabis, but for other day-to-day practices. So even though our packaging is recyclable, it's not going into the recycling bins right away. People are using it, getting extra use out of it, which is great. But we didn't want to stop there, so we took it further and looked a little bit further. And all of our labels are made from recycled materials. We're using vegan soy-based ink as well. We looked at everything from our business cards. Anything that we print comes from recycled products and materials, and then further, even our POS and our premiums and merch. Same thing. We're producing T-shirts that are recycled and made from recycled materials as well. And so it's little things like that where we can control the things that we can control and make a difference. And then beyond that, we dug a little bit deeper and found a partner in the Arbor Day Foundation, which is doing amazing work around the globe. They're planting trees and giving back to the earth, and we fundamentally believe that we need to give back to where we take from. We are a cannabis company that manufactures and works around a plant that comes from the earth. So how could we not give back to the earth? So we partnered with the Arbor Day Foundation to create a buy one, plant one initiative where for all of our one-to-one and one-to-one-to-one products, we are planting a tree for everyone sold, and hoping that drastically reduces their carbon footprint and makes a difference.
I think that's probably my favorite campaign, to be honest, the Buy One, Plant One initiative over at City Trees. I think it's really cool. I think it's something that can inspire the buyer to want to buy the product and inspire the sales agent to want to sell the product. And on top of that, it actually does some good in our community. I think it's really cool that we're kind of showing our partners in our industry that you can create a campaign that is beneficial to the environment, beneficial to the people around you, and still, grow revenue from it. And I think, being in the industry, revenue is something that people are concerned with. But if we can show them that we can do an initiative like this, create some good in our community, make people proud of the products that they're consuming or selling or whatever, and generate revenue, I just think it's really impactful. And I think it's really cool. It's a really cool program.
Yeah, I think you've touched upon something important. It's about creating opportunities where we can make a difference around sustainability, but that also from a revenue standpoint, doesn't destroy or hamper the business. There's a common ground and finding some balance, and I think we've done a good job of it. There's a lot more to be done, but at the City Trees level, sustainability is built into who we are, and it's incumbent upon us to champion that forward, and everything we do, it has sustainability in mind. Our tagline is "Sustain Your State," which has the word in it, and is built into the ethos and core of what we do. But it's also about the mindset and affecting people's mindset and letting them know that as individuals we can make change, and the changes that we make even on small levels can affect larger change. So I know we're really proud of that and the work we're doing, and we hope that more companies do the same. As I noted, you're kind of uniquely positioned to see things at all different levels, and at the retail level, what are some of the things that you're seeing and that we're doing that can also make a difference, like we've begun to do at City Trees?
Yeah, thanks for giving me an opportunity to speak on that. We're really proud of some of the things we've done at the retail level to try to effectuate change. We've built a recycling program into our exit bag. Again, I've got it right here. You can see here that every time the customer brings the exit bag back, or every 10th time they bring the exit bag back, that they're going to get a prize for that. That does add cost to the business, but we think it's important to offer up that program to the customer, because we were hearing for a long time, I've got a mountain of these bags at my house. What am I supposed to do with these bags? And again, the redundancy and regulation requires us to give these bags to the customer anytime they come in to shop. So we realized, if they're sitting on a mountain of these bags, what can we do to try to make sure that less bags end up in the landfill, and that our customers don't feel they're feeling the impact themselves. They're feeling the waste. They can see it every day, every time they shop. And we wanted them to be able to participate in a program that made them proud, and kind of set us apart. So we came up with that recycle program on the exit bag. It's working. People really enjoy it. We're getting a lot of positive feedback. And in addition to that, we're actually working with a company that produces a biodegradable exit bag. And again, if it sits in the landfill, hopefully it degrades in a shorter period of time than plastic does. So that's something we're really proud of on the retail side. And there's some other changes we've made to the building to make it more energy efficient and things like that. But ultimately, the recycle program is something I find that's really compelling and really cool and does have an impact. And the biodegradable exit bags is something that I think does have an impact on the retail level.
Yeah, you brought up something that's really interesting, and it's it's also very encouraging. And I think that we continue to see that the consumers want to be part of this conversation and want to do their part. We see how excited the consumers are at the retail level, as you mentioned, with recycling bags. And same thing, at City Trees, the most common thing and feedback we get is just how much the consumer appreciates what we're doing to be as sustainable as possible, and how much they want to buy in and make a difference themselves. And that's something I think that's it's very welcoming and is encouraging, as I said. And it just shows that that's where the world is and where we need to be as an industry, and that we can collectively find ways to drive positive impact.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm proud to be a part of a company that's thinking in a forward way like that, because I'll be honest, I've been doing this for 10 years and I have not seen a lot of people put efforts towards this. I think you touched on it a little bit earlier, but it's a big hill to climb, right? If we're going to make changes towards sustainability in the cannabis industry and we're fighting against regulation and the expectation of the customer and all of that, I think to a lot of people, it feels like too big a hill to climb. But I think it's important to remember that even in your day-to-day, in your personal life, or applicable to the business that you're running, that you can make micro changes that have an impact in the end, right? Just like speaking to how we're trying to inspire our partners in the industry to maybe copy some of the initiatives that we're doing, or to be inspired by what we're doing. Hopefully that does have an impact. Hopefully those people do start making moves towards sustainability, our partners and our competitors in the industry, and collectively we could have a big impact on the carbon footprint. If everybody made micro changes, they could have an impact on a macro level, right? So I think that's really important to think about. Like in my personal life, for example, I stopped using water bottles, and that's a small impact that I can have, that if I was able to inspire the people around me to do the same thing, there'd be significantly less water bottles in the landfill or in the ocean. So we're trying to make those changes. We're trying to inspire others to make those changes. And we just think it's a really important topic and a really relevant topic to think about and talk about. And it's important to continue our efforts and try to think from a big picture perspective how we can make an impact on our industry, on our community, and effectuate change when it comes to sustainability in our industry.
Yeah, I think to your point, that is the single most important thing, and the way forward. As we noted, there's monumental changes that need to be made. This is an industry that requires a lot of energy, a lot of resources. So we all have to do our part, and it starts, at the smallest level, and then goes up from there. So, as we said, it's something we're passionate about. I could talk to you about this forever. We do talk about it all the time, but I think this was a great start. Hopefully, other people are doing the same and having the same conversations. And as always, it's been great to connect with you and talk about something we're both passionate about.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time. I know it's something that we all care about, and it's important to keep speaking on. So thank you, Jourdan. I appreciate you, and let's keep it going.